Hi, I'm Stewart.
Hi, and I'm Paul.
We've been away from Best of British for a while. We've been very busy making our own film, Homganger. It's a Viking film set in the 10th century, lots of action scenes and fights and dark fantasy, so check out the trailer. You can click here to watch the trailer right now. But we're back with Best of British, we're raring to go. We're in our new
office,
new studio now, which is a much better space than our previous one. And let's get things started. So this week we watched Panic Button.
4 young people win a prize from a social network company to have a luxury trip to New York. However, when cruising at 30,000 feet on board a tiny aircraft, they are asked to play a game for their in-flight entertainment. The game quickly turns sinister as the contestants are shown disturbing images of their loved ones being tormented and tortured. The group realise they are at the mercy of a twisted madman, and one false move could get their loved ones killed.
So, Panic Button, what drew us to the film, Paul?
Well, it's a contained British thriller, so I was on board straight away.
That's what we like.
That's what we like. Also, it's from a really interesting company, Movie Mogul. They've got some really great content out there.
Are we ready to play?
Yeah!
Do you recognise this?
So the plot's got a lot of clever twists. It turns and it develops nicely. It starts off quite slow with very sinister questions being asked of the contestants on board a tiny confined aircraft.
And I thought you were such a nice girl.
I didn't sound that.
Will you care to tell us the title of the video you watched a total of 4 times that very same evening?
That is none of your business.
It starts off at a very much a social level. So these are all strangers, they've never met each other before, they don't quite know why they're there, but they're lured in by this big prize of going to New York. But as the questions start to kind of come out, they start to show their real true selves, and it gets kind of nasty.
Yeah, it really does.
You were quite happy enough to sit and listen to ours, weren't you?
Don't all look at me like you haven't watched stuff like that online. Everybody does it.
You know, it's just a game. It's obviously meant to challenge us.
How do they know all of this?
Open the door!
Why won't they answer him?
But it's very interesting that the stakes to start with are on the perception of one another, really, and how they're seen by each other. And that starts to change, and how that judgment starts to affect the characters is something really interesting. And it builds very slowly and very nice, very kind of creepily, which is I really enjoyed.
As Dave has broken the rules and ignored my instructions, I have no choice but to initiate a forfeit.
So the stakes in the film for the characters very much starts at a social acceptance level. These people are being quite embarrassed by this and revealing things, but then it moves on to the threat of their loved ones being put in peril. But then, the story moves along even further and the stakes get higher, where it's themselves are at risk on this plane whilst they're trying to protect their family in this
really
game.
It's interesting because it really asks difficult questions of what would you do in that situation. And it's very raw and very kind of brutal. Very honest, which very powerful stuff.
I think with the characters as well, they're all introduced as these kind of stereotypical people.
Yeah.
There's like the stuck-up, thinks he's an amazing guy.
This cocky kind of businessman. Yeah.
There's the mother who's kind of, you expect to be the nicer one, and as those things are stripped away, it's really nice. And you really do go from kind of on the face of it, social media, you're looking at the Facebook page, you think you know who this person is, down to their primal level, which I thought was really interesting throughout the film, and it was good to watch.
Yeah, great use of characterisation as well.
He's got my sister!
She hasn't got much time. Tick-tock.
He's in control here. There is nothing we can do.
For a lot of the film, the antagonist is kind of this shadowy character that we don't really know a lot about. But it could be anyone.
It really could be.
Up for any reason as well, at least at the start. You assume that there's no kind of connection between these characters. So that's kind of terrifying in its own right.
And the thing is, all the information the villain essentially finds out about the characters and exploits them and gets them to do things, is stuff that you could essentially go on anyone's Facebook page. It could be anyone could get that information and they could use it against you. And I think they did it well with, they made basically a fake Facebook.
Yes,
and I think that tied into their viral marketing as well. You
yes,
had a look at that.
But one thing, they set up the altogether kind of social network outside of the film, which is mentioned inside the film. That's kind of the Facebook of, of the film, really. But yeah, they did a great online marketing campaign for that with merchandise and all sorts. And it's strange because it's about social media, the film itself. It uses social media to spread the message of the film. And it's, I mean, as independent filmmakers, the future for filmmaking is online. The future for humanity is online for some degree. So it's interesting how that film is bridging the gap as well. It's not just it's not just a film in a box. There's a lot more to the world as well, and that was really interesting to dive into that as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Important to note, it is a horror and it is scary.
Yes, yeah.
We've kind of gone through the intellectual side of the film, but I was worried throughout. It really does give you thrills and it excites. And it makes you ask those questions, what would I do in that situation? And the characters, they all play it slightly differently. There's some that are compliant, isn't there? There's some that fight the system. There's some that kind of don't know and sit on the fence, and it's really interesting. I love contained thrillers because it does just that. It puts people in a contained space. It almost turns up the heat and just watches them boil and see what happens.
So overall, I'm sure you can tell we very much enjoyed Panic Button.
Big fan.
As with Best of British, we do watch a lot of films that you don't see us review because we didn't find them amazing. But this one is one of the ones that we picked to get the title Best of British, essentially, because it's a fine example of that. We were talking about before the themes of the film, about the online social media.
Themes are really strong. It's very relevant to now. It's a thought-provoking film, but it's also a very entertaining film.
What have you done with my daughter?
So Chris Crowe directed and wrote the film. Now, he's directed previous feature films in the past. He's actually gone on to make a Viking film, which is very interesting for us, called A Viking Saga. I think it's The Viking Saga The Darkest Day. Now, this is about a Viking raid which took place at a monastery and around the events of that kind of time, so historically accurate, I suppose. Feature film, so one we want to check out. Obviously, we've just said at the start, we've got Holmgang in. Keep plugging that. Link will be somewhere. So yeah, really interesting. Obviously, looking forward to seeing more work from Chris because we were great fans of Panic Button. So it'll be interesting to see what comes next.
Definitely be keeping an eye out for that.
And also the producer, one of the producers and one of the writers, David Shalito, he's currently producing a different Viking film by all accounts.
Vikings are all the rage at the moment.
Well, exactly.
We set the trend, you know.
From what I can find out online, this one's called The Berserkers. So I'm kind of guessing at what we might see in that film.
Sounds really interesting, actually.
Yeah, exactly. It should be quite cool.
So Movie Mogul are a really interesting company. We've been aware of it for some time. We actually tried to enter their Shortcuts to Hell competition, which they ran last year, and they're doing it again this year. We're actually going to get a film in for it this time, where you essentially have to take a feature film idea and make a short film out of it. It's almost like a proof of concept. So we're making our feature film idea Containment, which you can see a video of our pitch film here on the website.
Movie Mogul's second feature seemed a lot smaller budget than Panic Button, called The Sleeping Room. What's really interesting about Sleeping Room, though, is it's the first ever feature film, I believe, to be equity crowdfunded, which is quite groundbreaking stuff, really. From what I can see from Movie Mogul's website as well, they're very interested in online distribution and things like that. So they do seem like a very progressive, forward-thinking company, which is what the British film industry especially needs at the moment.
Yeah, it
People
really
willing
does.
to push the boundaries and try out new things. Their third feature film I think this will be, Monsters.
We Are Monsters.
We Are Monsters.
We Are Monsters. Yeah, I'd seen that a long time ago on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
'Cause it's got Doug Jones involved, who was Abe Sapien in Hellboy, and obviously he's been worked with Guillermo del Toro a lot on Pan's Labyrinth as the Faun as well. And that's got Maisie Williams, who plays Arya in Game of Thrones as well. Which
I know is going to be good.
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting. So they're really definitely on the up and up, and I'll have to keep checking in with them. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I'll be really interested to see where Movie Mogul go next. Really, so a company to watch and lots of individuals in there who I'm sure we will be seeing more from.
So I hope you've enjoyed Best of British this week. We certainly enjoyed watching Panic Button, and we're good to be back. We've already filmed quite a few more episodes in the pipeline, so you'll be seeing those coming out quite regularly now, along with some interviews we filmed at the Horror on Sea Film Festival.
Yep, they should be coming up at last.
With director Pat Higgins and a few other filmmakers there, which should be quite fun.
Good.
We're getting our film Homganger out to festivals at the moment.
I don't know if we've mentioned Homganger.
I don't think we've mentioned it enough, have we? No. We're also planning on making our first feature film this year, and we've got a lot of other short film projects going on as well, because it's not just me and Paul in the company.
There are more of us.
Yeah, we're all working on so many different projects, and Best of British is just one little slither of that, really.
What's the website, in case...
the website is glasscannonfilm.co.uk, and you can follow us on Facebook at Glass Cannon Film and Twitter as well, so please check those out. Talking about social media, plug it in there.
It'll help.
Yeah, we're back, and next week I think we're reviewing Inbred, which I've heard is a fantastic film. Yeah, so we'll check that out. So see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.